Hello, tarot friends. I hope this finds you well. Welcome to my channel. So today I wanted to do a video response to Dawn Michele at Boho Tarot, and it's Hearth and Home decks. And so Dawn Michele has listed, I think, 8 different prompts, sort of having us think about autumn decks that make us feel at home and cozy and so forth. So I thought this sounded like some fun, and I pulled out some decks, and without further ado, off we go. So the first prompt is the Hearth and Home deck. This is the deck that feels like coming home. And so I have a few decks that I feel like could have fit this category. But the other day, I was doing a spread, a draw. I was about to go off to, this was on October 2nd, to the pro-choice march. They were having them all over the states. And I pulled some cards just sort of for advice. And I decided to use this deck, the Daughters of the Moon. And I did a 3-card spread, issue, action, outcome. And I still have the 3 cards that I pulled. And I remember that my reaction to these cards was that I felt like home. It felt comfortable. It was familiar. And as the prompt says, it felt like coming home. So the first one I pulled was this card, which is the Magician card. However, it's called the Witch. So that made me feel like coming home. And then this one, these women sitting in a circle together. That made me feel like coming home. And then the 3 of Cups. And this is a feminist deck. It's from the late 80s or maybe early 90s. And so it feels comforting to me. It feels like coming home, exactly as the prompt says. Prompt 2, gather together. As you see me looking down, I'm just looking at the prompts here. This is the deck that reminds me of family and friends. And for that deck, I decided on the Gaian deck. And the reason for that is there are actually cards in here that remind me of people that I know and places that I feel comforted by or familiar. So this one just reminds me of my women's circle and all the times that we would meet at the beach. We have a lot of, although I'm on Cape Cod, not the Midwest, we have a lot of cornfields around here, and we still have a lot of farms, and this just reminds me of my local farm stand. This one reminds me of my daughter. This reminds me of the woods nearby me. And this reminds me so much of getting together with my sisters in my coven or other herbal friends of mine as we kind of join together and make medicine from the plant spirit. So I always, whenever I see this card, I just feel so comforted, and I feel like family and friends are surrounding me. This reminds me of a mentor that I had many years ago. This one reminds me of a friend of mine. I love this one too. We don't have mountains near us, but this one just reminds me of a friend. This reminds me, now, Joanne is from the Pacific Northwest, and so I imagine this is a scene from near where she's from, and yet it looks so New Englandy to me. With the squirrel and the red leaves and the acorns and the maple tree. This one is a dead ringer for my husband, Bob. It looks just like him. and I'm not imagining it, because people that know him and know this deck all say the same thing. And this just reminds me of myself in the woods. So that's the Gaian, and that's the deck that reminds me of family and friends. So the next one is Light Up My Life. And this is the deck that lights my way through the dark. So for this deck, I decided on the Gentle Tarot. Oh, did I say who were the creators? I didn't. So Daughters of the Moon is Fiona Morgan, and Gaian Tarot is Joanna Powell Colbert. This is Mari in the Sky. And Mari is the artist and the guidebook writer. So she's the artist and the creator of this beautiful deck. And I just love this deck. It is gentle, but it's not, it doesn't soft coat it. I mean, there's some reality in this deck too. It's kind and gentle, and yet it does tell the truth. And so when I think about the truth shining the light of, showing the way through the light of the truth, that's what made me think about this deck. It's just lovely. There's going to be a pocket version of this too. I love this star card. The artwork is just lovely, and it does brighten my way. The sun. I love this Ace of Cups. So beautiful. So this is the Tower, and so you can see that it isn't soft pedaling anything. Here the lightning is coming down and striking the person. This is the Death card, and it's a hermit crab, which we have many of on the beach near my house. This beautiful Strength card, and you can see the light shining through there. And the Empress. So this is a beautiful deck, and I do love it quite a bit. It's fairly new to me. I mean, I did back it on the Kickstarter. I think I've had it, has it been out a year? Maybe a year, yeah. Beautiful deck. So the fourth one is, this is Rainy Days. This is the deck that I want to curl up with on a rainy day. And I chose Tarot of the Divine. And the reason that I chose this deck was because it's more than a tarot deck. It also, you can get, in addition to the tarot deck, this this book that goes along. It's accompanies the deck. It doesn't talk about the tarot card meanings, but Tarot of the Divine is basically a deck that borrows from cultures globally, and has myths and cultural stories and children's stories and fairy tales from around the globe. And so the reason I thought about this for a rainy day was, I thought, well, what I would like to do is pull a card from the deck. I'm just going to show you a few. Most of you are probably familiar with it. This is the whole reason I had to buy this deck, this card, the Moon card, which I think is stunning. It's, whoops, my piles of decks here. It's on the cover. So you can see the different cultures that are represented in this deck. And these are, of course, just a few of the 78. And so my thought about it being a good day, a good deck for a rainy day rainy day, is because I thought, well, I could pull a card, and then I could go to the book and go to the page. That's just randomly here. This is the woman who was kind to insects. This is an Inuit Fable. I'm not sure, I don't remember off the top of my head what card this is in the deck. And that's my only kind of criticism, is I wish there was more of a connection between the book and the deck, but it's actually done by two different publishers. So this really is just the illustrations and the stories, but it doesn't have any, it doesn't connect it to the deck. You kind of have to do that yourself. But anyway, I just thought it would be fun to curl up on the couch in front of the fire on a rainy day, pull some cards, and read the stories that go along with those cards. All right, so the next prompt is Harvest Nights, the deck that evokes harvest vibes or bonfire nights. So for that, I thought immediately of the Wildwood Tarot. This deck just, I'm always drawn to it in the fall. And there's just something about the color palette, the artwork, something about it just makes me think of autumn and, you know, this time of the year. I mean, it has scenes in it from different seasons, but there's just something about it that makes me think fall. And it's the deck that I always pull out in the fall. So this Wildwood Tarot is a tarot that evokes fall and harvest time of year for me. This is, the artwork is Will Worthington, and John Matthews wrote the guidebook. Handmade with Love. So this, the prompt for this, Handmade with Love, the deck that feels like a homespun gift. So what I decided, what came to mind for this was two decks that I've modified. This is the Robin Wood. I made it into a square deck. I was inspired to do this by Veronica Jude, who is sort of the queen of deck mods on YouTube. And she talked about squaring a deck. And to be honest, the Robin Wood deck just never, the artwork never really spoke to me. I had never cut a deck. I had edged decks. And I have to say, if you looked at this, you could see how uneven they are. I didn't do the greatest job. You can see how uneven the cards are. But anyway, the fun thing about this was you had to look at the card, the whole card. And, you know, I did cut one card, and then that sort of became the pattern, the showed me where to trace or where to cut. So I'd have to look at the card and say, okay, what part of this image do I want to leave in, and what part do I want to cut out? And it didn't always, like here we see this is the King of Cups. He got his head chopped a little bit. So here's the Hermit. So you would have to kind of look at each card and say to yourself, what do I think needs to be in, and what can be trimmed? So it was a little bit of an effort to think about that. And some of the cards, most of the cards are really pretty straightforward. You know, you'd look at it and you'd know right away, okay, that definitely needs to stay in, and that can go. But there's a few cards that it was like, ooh, I had to choose between two images that I felt were important. Another deck that I fit into this category is this little Albano Weight. So I got, again, inspired by Veronica Jude. So I have, I think it's a 2-inch hole punch. And I love round decks. Mother Peace was my first deck, so I love round decks. So I thought, well, I'll make this a round deck. And it's a little teeny deck that fits right in my purse. You can see here, did I leave the people in or the cups and the rainbow? So again, you have to make choices on what stays in and what comes out. This one, I remember, oh, this one was tough. Like, how much of his feet did I want to leave in? So I tried to get the feet and the pentacle over his head as well. So these were fun little projects. I do use these decks quite a bit. Again, they're so little, they fit right in my purse, and they're very, very portable. So those are my homespun kind of handmade decks, if you will. Thankful, grateful, blessed. So this is a deck that helps me appreciate the good times. And I kind of looked at this prompt a little bit differently. I picked Tarot Fauna. This is by Brittany Birkeland and Devin Strickland. Brittany is the artist. And I picked this deck because this deck, when I look at this deck, it always makes me feel so thankful, so grateful, and so fortunate for where I live. The beautiful world around me. We have woodlands, we have beaches and oceans, we have all kinds of beautiful walking trails and just kettle holes, beautiful ponds, and you know, it's just, I just feel really fortunate to live here. And so that's why I picked this deck, because, well, I don't have any of these guys around where I live. We have river otters. We don't have ocean otters, at least not that I've seen. We do have owls and fox. Bears, not so much. Love this beautiful moon card. I have not seen a moose on Cape Cod. But there's just something about this that makes me appreciate the land and nature, and reminds me of it's just out my back door or my front door. And I find that when I'm stressed or depressed or upset, taking a nice walk in nature, really completely immersing myself in the natural world is really sort of the best medicine. And as I said, I do feel quite grateful for being surrounded by this beautiful land. So the last prompt is Comfy Cozy, the deck that's always there for me. And so someone has come in to visit. I don't know if you can see her or not. Is the Tarot de Saint Croix. So this is the original version. Lisa de Saint Croix, the creator of this, has recently released a borderless version. And I like it. I have that one too, but there's something comforting about this orange. I love the orange. And I think these colors, partly because of the orange, are very much comforting and autumnal. They just, you know, the color palette just makes me feel cozy and warm, and as I show a snow scene. And there's just something about this deck that, you know, I will always love. I loved it from the first moment I saw it, and it's a well-used, well-loved deck. And I do think this color palette is really great for this time of year. the orange and the black. And there's a lot of orange and black in this deck. I love that. Fire at the Crossroads makes me think of Hecate. So those are the decks I chose to answer the prompts proposed to us by Dawn Michele. It was a lot of fun pulling out these decks. And although I did put the Gaian and the Saint de Saint Croix in there, I tried to pull a few different ones. And I don't want to always pull the same decks, you know, but those are my favorites. Those are my long-standing decks that I love and enjoy reading with. So what decks did you choose if you decided to respond to Dawn Michele's? Or if you didn't do a VR, just comment below some of your cozy fall decks that make you feel grateful and comfy and cozy, and a deck you'd like to, you know, cuddle up with on a rainy day. So bright blessings to you all. Happy fall.